Thanks for joining us today. I'm Chris Snow, and this is my business partner, Terry Kelly. And we're realtors in the Northeast Florida area, and we want to talk to you today a little bit about HUD homes. Terry, can you go over and tell me what a HUD home is?
Yeah, basically a HUD home is a property that was financed with FHA financing. For some reason, the buyer has not been able to perform and the bank foreclosed on the property. At that point, it reverts back to HUD. So HUD has now gained control of the property, and they've turned it over to us to bring to the market.
Okay. And now, are there some benefits that a buyer would have in purchasing a HUD home?
Yeah, we definitely feel there's some advantages in purchasing HUD properties in the market today. As we move more toward a seller's market, we find that it's tougher for owner-occupants to find homes because the investors are trying to go in and purchase the homes using cash. So an owner-occupant using financing tends to get closed out. And for the investors, the homes are not typically repaired, so they have an opportunity when they come to the market that they can purchase the home without repairs, make the repairs, and there's a profit margin in them for the sale of the house. So we feel some advantages on both sides of the market.
So that's nice that you can buy it as an investor or buy it as owner-occupant.
That's correct.
Okay. And how do you find HUD homes? Where would you go to find HUD homes?
Well, your realtor should be able to access all the properties that HUD has listed through the local MLS, because all of them are put on the MLS by the local listing brokers. But there's another avenue that the owner-occupant and the investor has, that they can go directly to the HUD Home Store website and see what properties are available now. And it even differentiates between the properties that are owner-occupant only and those that are open to the investors. And that's HUDHomestore.com. That's a great site for everybody to use.
Okay. And what's the process? What does a typical process look like when someone identifies a HUD home and they want to put an offer in it?
Yeah, it depends on how you've come around. But if you found the house, you've contacted your agent, you've gone out and seen the house, it's a real simple process. They enter the information online at HUDHomestore.com, and then after the bid period, we'll talk about that in a second here, but after the bid period's over, the HUD asset manager looks at all the offers that come in. They decide if it matches, if it meets the minimum requirements, they select it and you move forward. It's not a complex system. A lot of people looked for years ago the problems that they had getting offers in, all the hoops they had to jump for. But we find it to be a very streamlined, easy process now, actually less paperwork than a lot of the standard state contracts that go in.
Okay. And if I'm a buyer purchasing a home, can I get a home inspection? Is it as is? Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, you'll hear that HUD does not make repairs, so they don't repair the properties. The process they go through is when they acquire them, they send a team in to clean them. They send a crew in to inspect them. They check electrical, plumbing, and all. They actually produce a report that would be available to you on HUD Home Store on that property under one of the tabs. But when you buy the house, even though it's sold as is, no repairs, you are allowed to have an inspection on the property. And if you find that there's problems with it, you don't want to go forward, they'll cancel the contract and you'll get your earnest money back. Investors, it falls a little bit different. You need to make sure that you know what you're doing as you move forward, but you are allowed to have an inspection on properties.
And you had mentioned the bid process. Is there anything that you want to go into more detail on the bid process?
I hear a lot of people say that, well, I don't want to get involved in an auction deal because they hear the word bid. Bid really means offer. The only thing that's different, and this is where it benefits owner-occupants trying to buy houses, is the homes typically when they hit the market, they're protected for owner-occupants for the first 15 days. The first 10 days is called the opening bid period. That's where the auction, the feeling of an auction comes in. But it's really, during that 10 days, you're allowed to put an offer in on the HUD Home Store system, and then on the day after the bid period ends, so on a 10-day bid period on day 11, they open up all the offers that come in. They decide if one of them meets the minimum requirements. If it does, they award the contract and you move forward. They don't negotiate, they don't counter offer, and they don't do multiple offers. So just keep in mind when you put an offer in, you want to put it in for what you're actually offering for the house.
Okay. So if I understood that correctly, if I see that a property comes out on day one and I put an offer in on day one, I'm not going to get an answer back until day 11. Is that correct?
That's correct. And there's no advantage or disadvantage as to when you put the offer in. There's a clock on the HUDHomestore.com for each property that tells you when the bid period ends. And if you put your offer in on day 1, hour 1, or you put it in on day 10, at the 11th hour, they're all looked at the same. They're not in stacking order, and if somebody puts it in on day one, you lose out. It literally is the net to HUD is what they go by.
Okay. Anything else that someone who's wanting to buy a property, anything else that they would need to know about the HUD homes?
Not really. There's a lot of information available on the HUDHomestore.com. And briefly, if you go to HUDHomestore.com, I'm going to say it over and over again because it's real critical for the homeowner looking for a property. HUDHomestore.com, the main page that comes up, there's a search layout. And I would recommend that you put in your state and your county and hit search. What will happen is there'll be all of the homes that are available, HUD homes that are available in that area will populate onto the screen. It's a real simple little version that pops up. If you see one that interests you, you click on that, it takes you to a page that has specific information on that property then. It'll tell you how long it is, how long the bid period is, how long it's going to be available to owner occupants only. It's going to tell you what kind of financing is available for the property, whether it's FHA eligible or not, and we probably need to go into some detail on that. And then it also then has an addendum page to it that will give you the property condition report, which is the summary of the inspection report done by HUD. And it'll also give you what's called an escrow report, which is tied back to one of the financing programs that they offer, escrow holdback. And I probably ought to just go straight into that because that's one of the critical things in the process. Some of the benefits for the owner occupants, they offer an FHA $100 down program. That means instead of the 3.5% you normally put down on an FHA loan, on HUD properties you only have to put $100 down. So on a $100,000 house, that's a $3,400 savings as far as cash to close, what you would have to bring to the table. They also offer what's called an escrow holdback. One of the other problems with buying as-is government-owned foreclosed properties, a lot of times it needs some repairs. Well, the FHA appraiser that they send in writes up a list, and they come back with a judgment that yes, it is eligible for FHA financing. Yes, it is eligible for FHA financing, but it needs some repairs that are less than $5,000. And no, it's not eligible in its current condition for FHA financing. The escrow holdback option, which is, I think, a great tool for the homeowners, if they find that it needs some repairs, like an air conditioning repair that's $2,000, what they'll do is they'll allow you to purchase the home and they put $2,000 in escrow to make the repairs after you close. Before now, you couldn't do anything. You couldn't go forward because they weren't going to make any repairs, and FHA said the repairs had to be made. So the escrow holdback adds a lot of flexibility to you in your purchase options going forward.
So it's almost like you're financing in some of the repairs.
Exactly. And that's the way. It's not a discount or something they're kicking back. If you bought a house for $100,000 with a $2,000 escrow holdback, your mortgage is going to be $102,000. But your loan officer and your agent can run those numbers for you. You'll see that's a very minimal impact on the overall monthly payment that you'll be paying on that house.
What would you say the pricing strategy when you see a price online on HUD Home Store or on MLS through an agent? A lot of times when people see a foreclosed property, they say, oh, well, I'm going to go in real low on this. What would you say to that type of strategy to someone who's looking at that? How does HUD price their homes when they see it on the market?
Again, the process is when they get it, they clean it, they do an inspection on it to come up with what needs to be done, and then they send an FHA appraiser in. He gives them an FHA market value price. The asset manager uses that to establish his pricing, not necessarily the same. He could vary from that, but it is an FHA appraised price that really is driving the initial pricing of the house. You need to look at it almost like when you put an offer in on an FHA property, especially during the initial periods, the 10-day opening round. You need to bid what you want to put in for the house, because you're not going to get a second chance. If they don't select you, somebody else is a little bit higher, they're not going to come back and give you a multiple offers chance.
Okay, so if I'm putting in that offer, I need to figure out myself what is the highest that I'm willing to pay for that property, and if I lose it because I wasn't willing to go $500 more, I'll feel okay with that. I know that I put in my best offer and it just got beat. Is that what I'm hearing?
Right. Yeah. This is not the traditional, I'm going to go low and negotiate up. That doesn't happen on the HUD properties. Later on, if they've been on the market for a long time, there's an opportunity to go low and see if you can get something back and forth with them. But on the initial rounds, and typically on HUD properties in general, we don't have them hang around on the market very long because one, they've been cleaned, one, you can get financing on them, and they're priced competitively for the market.
Okay. All right. Anything else that you think we need to go over, or do you want to recap?
The biggest thing, let's recap that HUDHomestore.com. I would get on there and play on it. Because you can see all the different options. You can see the properties that are available to you. For investors, you have an option that you can select that it's just for investment properties, and it won't waste your time showing your properties that are owner occupied. So I would play on the HUDHomestore.com, pull a couple properties up, take a look at it, and see what all the information that's available for it. And the HUDHomestore.com, keep in mind, is more accurate than the MLS is because there's a lag between when an offer is accepted by HUD and when we're notified as listing agents to change the status in the MLS. So they may award a contract at 10 o'clock in the morning. They instantly change the HUD Home Store and that property won't show up anymore. But it may be a couple hours before I actually get an email notifying me that it's been accepted. It's not uncommon that on bid opening day, I start getting calls from agents that are saying, I don't see it on HUD Home Store anymore. What that means to me is that they've accepted an offer and we're now waiting for the official notification. So HUDHomestore.com is the place to go. Your local real estate agent, they can pull all the stuff up on the MLS for you, do that search, and I would use it in conjunction with what the agent's providing you and the information that you can get yourself from the HUDHomestore.com.
Okay. Well, I think that's it for today. We will be doing more videos about HUD homes and other items, but we thank you for joining us. And if you have any questions, you can email us back at tkelly@southernreojax.com. Thanks and have a great day.